Hey, everybody. This is your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic. Welcome back for those of you who have been here before. For those of you that are new, I am Carla Renata. I am a film critic, actress, author. And what we do here is we interview stars, filmmakers, producers, directors, anybody that is above and below the line in the film industry. And I also do a couple of film reviews along the way. I have a special treat for y'all today. My girl, Patrice Covington, is going to join me in a few to talk about a project that she is in that I'm so incredibly excited about. It's a limited series that is going to be on Nat Geo called Genius Aretha, about the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. So usually I start out the show by telling you what my week was like. But before I get to that, give me a big old thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click that bell for notifications if you are on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel because you never know who you might see. Like, you might see Cynthia Erivo here next week. I'm just saying. But let me just tell you how my week went. I am going to moderate a Q&A with the filmmakers of Kamp, a film that I saw at the Sundance Film Festival. It was either this year or last year, but it's now streaming on Netflix. And the filmmakers are going to join me over at American Cinetech's site tomorrow, I think around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. So if you're free and you don't have anything to do, join me over there for that conversation. I'm on Clubhouse, as a lot of people are. I started a plethora of rooms. No, I haven't. I actually started just one room. But one room that I'm about to start is going to be with two of my fellow film critic sisters, Gray Drake and Amanda Salas. But I'll tell y'all more about that next week because we're still in the process of planning that. And it might have something to do with, I don't know, a little The Eddie Murphy. I don't know. I'm just saying. It might not. The South by Southwest Film Festival is going to start on March 16th. I am covering that again virtually. I have some wonderful things, or some wonderful documentaries that are coming up that are going to be featured there, including a documentary by Demi Lovato, Dancing with the Devil. There's also a documentary, a Tom Petty documentary based on footage from his recording album in 1994 called Wildflowers. And Charlie XCX has another one featuring an album that she recorded in quarantine. So there we have that. And that is going to be happening in South by Southwest. If you are in the Los Angeles area, the Pan-African Film Festival is still going strong, and it will end on March 14th. So before I get to Patrice, let's take a little trip around the curve. The Critics' Choice Awards are tonight, y'all, and will we see a duplication of historic wins like we did at the Golden Globes last week for Andra Day, Daniel Kaluuya, John Boyega, Chloe Zhao, and Anya Taylor-Joy? Tune in tonight for the 26th Annual Critics' Choice Awards hosted by Taye Diggs on the CW. New York Times columnist Charles M. Blow doubled down on his comment that Pepe Le Pew normalized rape culture Saturday following backlash from his op-ed, which first called out the Warner Brothers created cartoon skunks behavior. Netflix is on a roll with a $55 million deal for Christian Bale's horror thriller The Pale Blue Eye, which will reunite the actor with director Scott Cooper, and the streamer has tapped Steven Spielberg and teamed him with Stranger Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer to adopt King's The Talisman as a series. Also at Netflix, Kevin Hart's Fatherhood on Father's Day weekend. Higher Ground Productions, Barack and Michelle Obama's production company, will present alongside Netflix and Sony. Billy Bob Thornton, Alfre Woodard, and Bridgerton breakout star Regé-Jean Page have rounded out the cast of the Russo brothers' The Gray Man, starring Ryan Gosling. Paramount has tapped Ronaldo Marcus Gray to direct its Bob Marley movie for the studio, and Visibility Media announced the releasing of a game Abiatu Sabez trivia-inspired exploration of the popular Latin X culture alongside Jesse Williams from Grey's Anatomy. Viola Davis, Jane Fonda, Ava DuVernay, Billy Porter, and more are tapped to be stars profiled in Season 2 of Apple TV's Dear... docuseries from Billie Eilish director RJ Cutler. Paramount has set Star Trek Discovery writer and consulting producer Kalinda Vasquez to write a new untitled Star Trek movie J.J. Abrams is set to produce. Aisha Tyler is set to direct Silent John for Hidden Empire film. It starts shooting summer 2021. Tim Story, fresh off of directing Tom and Jerry, is at the helm of a pilot for ABC, a hip-hop drama called Queens. Annette Bening is set to star in a biopic based on the life of famed long-distance swimmer Diana Nyad. Julie Taymor is attached to Gun Love, an adaptation of Jennifer Clements' novel. AARP, the magazine, announced its winners for their annual Movies for Grown-Ups Awards, which will be hosted by Hoda from The Today Show on March 28th on PBS. Janet Jackson has a doc coming at and landing at night at Lifetime, and Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o is partnering with the Nairobi-based media and tech startup Kukya for a new YouTube Originals Kids and Family program. And that is it for Around the Curve. I'm going to finish my own sentence. Let me just welcome those that are in the chat room, my regulars. Brandon, I'm sure Mike will be here in a minute, and Kenneth Williams. Thank you so much for joining me today. And a little later on, since I covered the Golden Globes in real time in the press room, I will show you a little snippet of that later on in the show. In addition to reviews on Raya and The Last Dragon, Woman in Motion about my girl Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek, and Spongebob Kamp Koral. That's just for you, Brandon. I'm doing it just for you, okay? But let me get to my guest, Patrice Covington. This is a sister that I met at an audition here in LA. We were auditioning for the live version of Rent that was going to be on NBC. I think we were auditioning for the homeless woman or something. And I look up in the waiting room and there's me and her and Margaret Avery from The Color Purple. And I'm like, y'all ain't just going to give Shug Avery an offer? Like, why is she in here auditioning? I don't understand. But we were in that waiting room. We had the best time. We took this picture. It was everything. Everybody looks gorgeous in the picture. My head is all big at the bottom of the picture, but it's all good. But I loved her spirit that day. I'd never met her, but I've never forgotten her. She was in the 2015 revival of The Color Purple. She plays Erma Franklin in Genius, Aretha on Nat Geo, which is coming up later this month. And she has a couple of other things going on too that she will talk about. But without further ado, let me introduce my guest for today, Miss Patrice Covington.
Hi.
Hey, girl. Hey. Let me fix this up.
So happy to talk to you.
I'm happy to talk to you too. Look at Whitney God. In the background. I love your background. It is everything. You're like, yeah.
My grandma.
I love your hair like that. It is so gorgeous.
Thank you.
So gorgeous. Pull your screen down so your head is cut off. There you go. Right there. Yeah, okay. Right there. Okay. Hey, sis, how you doing?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I'm so glad you remember what we auditioned for because I didn't. I didn't remember what it was.
It's a blessing and a curse. I remember everything. It's horrible. I remember everything. Wow. I remember everything. But girl, this Genius Aretha thing is huge. Now I know at some point, I don't know if you currently ain't nobody currently doing anything right now in the pandemic, but have you still been singing back up for Jennifer Hudson, or was that like a long time ago after or during the Color Purple days?
Yeah, so it was actually post Color Purple. She was my intro into singing background. And I sang with her for quite some time. And then I went on to sing with Stevie Wonder. And then while I was on tour with Christina Aguilera is where I auditioned for Erma Franklin. And I haven't sang background since.
Oh, good. You're not a background girl anymore. I know what that was like. I sang background too. I was the only background singer for Tracy Chapman. And I went on tour with her. Yeah, like it was me and the band and her. If anybody is on Google and you go to Austin City Limits, you will see me standing back there, the lone background singer in my black dress singing background for Tracy Chapman.
Wow.
I sang for Phoebe Snow and Michael Bolton. I sang for a bunch of people back in the day.
Rock. I love that.
Girl, but yeah, I got way too much personality to be in the background. It's just too much going on here. So I just kind of retreated.
Effie White said, I don't do oohs and ahs.
Well, okay. I do oohs and ahs, but that oohs and ahs wasn't doing me. Oh my God. But let's talk about so you're on tour with Christina Aguilera. You get this call saying they want you to audition for Genius Aretha. And you said what?
It was such a crazy day. It was a hectic day. Christina Aguilera runs like such a tight ship. We had rehearsal every day. We were in Vegas doing her Vegas run, but like stepping out to New Orleans the next day kind of randomly to come right back. And I was like, how am I going to get this done? How am I going to get it done? And the guy who sang background with me happened to have a wife who was an actress, and he was like, "I know how to help you with a self tape." And I was like, "Okay."
Like, all
So
right, let's work it out.
I had my little stuff, and we set it up in the hotel room, Planet Hollywood. And I literally I maybe did 2 takes. I never watched it back, and I sent it. And it was from that moment, that whole little process, that I was like, wow, like what's for you is just for you. You don't have to do all that extra stress and all that, going back and analyzing every little thing that we do when we do auditions. It was just mine. And I'm just so incredibly grateful.
You know who taught me that lesson? LaShawne's taught me that lesson. I was
Really?
I was auditioning for a show, and I wanted somebody to hear me sing out loud. And I was like, could you just come over to my apartment and hear me sing this song? I just need to have somebody else hear me. And I just really needed to sing it out loud before I went to the audition to somebody, anybody but the people I was auditioning for. And she had never heard me sing before. And she was like, oh, wow. I'm like, oh, was it bad? And she was like, no, sis, it wasn't bad. And then she was like, yeah, you probably gonna get that gig. And I was like, you think so? She said, let me tell you something. When something is for you, it's for you, and is nothing anybody else can do about it.
So true. It's just so true.
That's a very invaluable lesson to learn. Oh my goodness. So now you start shooting. And you're in the midst, and it was like, it must have been like old home week for you, because you got Rebecca there, you got Cynthia there, you're there, my girl Kimberly Hebert Gregory. Like, it must have been like old home week for y'all. Y'all look like y'all had so much fun.
We had us a good old time. This was my very, very first time on TV. Other than doing like promo work for Broadway shows and tours and stuff, I've never had an acting role on TV. And while I had been out here, like, that was my whole plan when I came out here. So my goals, my dreams, what I've been manifesting. So I'm like, oh, God is here. But I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so scared. I'm like, am I going to do it right? I had never had not a co-star, a background, under 5, nothing, just straight into series regular. I'm like, okay, God. Okay. So, but I literally had Pauletta Washington and Courtney B. Vance holding my hand and teaching me how to do this thing.
I love that. Love they were your mentors for this project, yes?
They're my mentors for my life at this point. Aww. Like, they know they can't get rid of me, and luckily they're not trying to get rid of me. But and Kimberly Hebert also, just pros, pros who they're not new to this, they true to this, as we say, and I'm so grateful. I'm so, so grateful. They made me feel comfortable. They made me feel confident. And I'm just grateful for them always.
I love that. How much did you know about Erma Franklin before you started shooting? Because I didn't know that much about her. I knew more about her sister Carolyn than I knew about Erma. Mm-hmm. Most people do, I think.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about her before I booked the role. There's a woman, Allie Willis, who was a lyricist for The Color Purple.
I remember Allie. She just passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, she passed away Christmas Eve of 19. And so she was like one of the first people I told. I used to do a bunch of studio work with her. And she goes, Erma Franklin, she did the original Piece of My Heart that we all know as Janis Joplin's song.
Right.
No way.
No way. I did not know that.
I know. And so that was the beginning of my research, just listening to as much music as I could by her. And just, there's not a whole lot on the internet. But from what Susan Laurie Parks, our showrunner and writer, what she was able to pull from the family and things that she learned, plus, it's a little bit of me in there too. And just like photos, I got a lot of energy from her photos, and we made it work.
It worked. It really worked. You made it work. You made it do more than work. You were everything. I can't believe this was your first time on television, because you look like you've been doing it forever. Like, it was very organic. It was very natural. You did a wonderful job. And I was so excited. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, and I know her. And it was like my head was like swiveling around like this, because I knew almost everybody in the project. I knew Malcolm too. So I know it was crazy, but everybody, well, you know this, I am like the biggest cheerleader for people that I know. When I see folk and stuff, I'm like, oh, yay, they're in this. And I'm the biggest cheerleader for everything that y'all do. So I was so happy when the people reached out and said, would you talk to Patrice? I'm like, would I talk to Patrice? Like, get out of here with that. Of course, I'm going to talk to my girl. I was going to reach out to you, but I wasn't sure like what the situation was. So I was like, let me just lay in the cut. And if I'm supposed to talk to her, I'll talk to her. And then boom.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Your show is amazing. I love all your little pictures, your montage of photos with everybody. So good. You've been out here.
I've been out here, girl. I've been in these streets for a minute. Okay.
And I just also want to say that day that we met I still remember the day. I didn't remember the audition, but I remember like how you ladies made me feel that day. And because I hadn't been here very long.
No, you just got here, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you just made me feel so wonderful and welcomed and loved. And it was Black girl magic. It was fantastic.
It really was. We were trying to plan a road trip. We could never get it together because Miss Margaret, remember, because Miss Margaret was down in Atlanta shooting Being Mary Jane. She was always out of town. I'm like, that diva always got a job. I'm like, okay.
Wow, that's right. We were trying to get a little road trip together.
And our schedules just could not get it together, and it did not happen. But I was not mad at the fact that we were all busy. I kind of loved the fact that we were all busy.
Yes.
So there was that. But before I let you go, I want to talk about the Galaxy method. And are you still involved with the Kids in the Spotlight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's just talk about those two things for a minute before we go.
Well, I love kids.
Yes.
It's so funny because Erma Franklin worked with children too, a lot in like social worker settings. But Galaxy Method is something that I founded several years ago. It kind of was a spinoff of my trademark motto, which is don't be a star, be a galaxy. And that just means, it can mean many, many things. When I first created that motto, it was like, shine, be great in everything you do. And then like as time went on, it was like, no, like you can actually be a star in many things. And also you can give light to other people to help them shine. It doesn't dim your light. And then it was also based off a Bible verse that's like, be the light of the world and the salt of the earth, have all the flavor, be the juice, be the energy, just be light, So
right.
Whatever version fits for you for the day is what it means. But that's what made me start the Galaxy Method was that, a lot of times people have so much talent and they just don't have the confidence or they don't have the connection, the network. And there's so many things that you just learn from hands-on experience that you just can't get from a book or from maybe a professor. And so I share knowledge. I share experience, I share my real, and then it's also turned into kind of music therapy I have several young women students. Some have mental health concerns. I also have one woman who is 89.
Wow.
And she is fantastic. We do music together. It's actually Lawrence Fishburne's mom.
Oh, wow.
Patty, she's fantastic. I love her. I miss her. I haven't seen her with the whole shutdown of life, but it's been so beneficial to so many people and also to me. You go to like inspire, but you end up being inspired
right.
by children. So that's what it is. I do private vocal lessons. I do master classes. I bring in my friends who are talented in their areas of expertise, and they do their teachings with the students, and it's been fantastic.
I need to come get some vocal lessons. Shoot, why are you playing? We're going to have to set up a session for real.
Tracy Chapman, you don't need no lessons.
It's been a minute though, Diva. It's been a minute.
And then Kids in the Spotlight is an organization that is, it is for the kids in the foster care system. We work with them in the film world. So Taji Charity, who actually happens to be my cousin, which is fantastic. And I love that. But she's a fantastic woman all by herself. Like without us being cousins, she was already doing this. And I just wanted to be a part of it. It has grown tremendously in the past 10 years. And it has a lot of celebrity ambassadors, Kelly Stewart, Ty Burrell, Tika Sumter, myself, several other people. And what we do is the films are for kids by kids. And well, not really for kids. It's everything is just done by kids because they have some real deep subjects that they speak on. But they write it, they direct it, they actually are standing there with the cameraman to do the work. And these films have gone on to win awards, and they are amazing students and people. There's some of them are grown and working in the industry now. But my part in it is to raise awareness, raise money, and just be a mentor to them. And it's been a really big part of my life, and I'm glad to be able to do it here in LA.
You're such a bright light. You've all from the moment I put this on my social media feed. From the moment I've met you, you have always been such a bright light, and you're consistent. And I don't see or speak to you often, but every time I do, you're just a bright, beaming light. And I'm so excited for people to see you in this project. It's only going to open more and more doors. Girl, you ain't ever going to have to be black, brown, or anything else ever again.
Thank you.
I promise you that. Now, Genius Aretha comes on Nat Geo on March 21st. It's going to be airing over 4 nights, I think, 8 episodes over 4 nights.
Old style.
Old school, over 4 nights. And I can't wait for people to see it. Patrice Covington, where can people find you across the social media platforms?
So I'm on Instagram at Patrice Covington. And that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. You came up to Twitter. Okay.
I'm sure I'm going to have to get Twitter at some point. But right now, I'm very active on the gram. I will talk back to you. What's up? What's up? Let's talk.
Okay. Sis, thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday to speak with me. I wholeheartedly appreciate you for it.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so, so much. And thank you for shining a light on our project. We appreciate it.
Of course. I'm always there. I'm always going to shine a light on stuff that involves us. Always trust and believe.
Cheers.
All right. Bye, baby. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Oh, my God. Oh, door. The door was in the way. Oh, my God, you guys. I love her so, so, so very much. She's a wonderful light. She's a beautiful presence. And I enjoy talking to her whenever I have the opportunity to do so. All right. Again. Oh, Starletta Dupois, you are in the room. Ooh, legends are checking out the Curvy Critic today. Thank you, Starletta Dupois. I appreciate you. All right, let's get on with the rest of the show. So I want to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon, which is now streaming on Disney Plus. What's going on with this thing over here? I can't get to it. Hold on. I'll have to pull it up over here because I can't, it won't move, it won't do nothing. But it's streaming on Disney Plus, and I absolutely loved it. It's directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada and Don Hall. The score is by James Newton Howard. Raya is being portrayed by Kelly Marie Tran. You guys will remember her from the Star Wars franchise. I was kind of salty that Disney didn't do more with her in that franchise. I'm like, I need y'all to do more with my girl. But they doing more with her now. They got her as the lead in this picture, and it is everything. It is her, and it is Awkwafina playing Sisu. And what I really love about it, I love the soundtrack too. The soundtrack is everything. So kudos and snaps and claps to James Newton Howard on that. It is spectacular, and the score spectacularly supports the animation and the story. Basically, Raya it could have been a traditional princess story, but it's not. It could have been another tale of a young woman chosen by legacy or magic to save other people, but it's not that movie. It's a story about the uncertainty that accompanies courage. And it's wrapped up in an unforgettable narrative that pays homage to mythology that has come before while creating its own past, present, and future. When I tell you this film is probably one of my favorite animated projects this year, it's just so beautifully done. It's so beautifully done. And it gives a very important message to kids and adults about how trust can be broken when you don't, I didn't say that right. How worlds can be broken when you don't trust someone. And we're seeing that play out in real life between our country and other countries as a result of this last administration we had to deal with. So I love it for that reason. I it's about a mother. It's about a daughter and a father, and it's just it at the core of it is this issue of trust. And Sisu the dragon is played by Aquafina. The dragon looks like her. It's high. Aquafina is hilarious. Like, she's hilarious in human form, but she's even uber hilarious in animated form. This gave me all the feels. It was a beautiful, beautiful story. It is streaming on Disney Plus right now. If you have not seen it, I highly suggest that you check it out, because it will be worth every single solitary moment that you spend watching it on your screens at home. Now, the next one I want to talk about is a film called Woman in Motion. It is a documentary that is streaming on Apple TV Plus. It is it's centered around Nichelle Nichols and her efforts to recruit women and people of color into the space program at NASA. Now, you guys know Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek as Lieutenant Uhuru. What you don't know is that when Star Trek got canceled, she decided that she wanted to make a difference, and she didn't want her character just to be a one-off as that one Black person on a very popular sci-fi TV show. And P.S., but FYI, she actually was going to quit the show before it was canceled. And guess who talked her into staying? Dr. Martin Luther King. That makes me laugh out loud. The Dr. Martin Luther King was like, you can't quit, because apparently Star Trek was the only show that he would sit down and spend time and watch with his kids. I thought that was some fascinating trivia to point out, that Martin Luther King was the reason she didn't quit Star Trek. But she went around, so she went around the country encouraging people to be part of the space program. She had battles with NASA. She had battles with the government, but at the end of the day, it prevailed, and she was able to pull those numbers up. And I think it's important to note, because we never know. We know about the women that were featured in Hidden Figures, and we know about that, but we didn't know about Nichelle Nichols' contribution to the space program. And I wholeheartedly wanted to bring light to that. I also wanted to bring light to the fact that I met her. My very first job in LA was on a show called G versus E, and I worked with her. And she said, if you have time, come to my trailer. Child, you didn't have to tell me but once. I was running to her trailer, running. And I sat in her trailer and I talked to her for probably a good hour. And what I didn't know is that she had started out as a dancer. She was on Broadway in a show called The Blacks. She did her film debut in Porgy and Bess, and she thought she was going to be a musical theater doll, hopping from show to show to show. She was flying for some gig that was in Hawaii from I think from New York to Hawaii. And at that time, you couldn't fly straight from New York to Hawaii. You had to come through Los Angeles. And her stopping in Los Angeles, clearly, as we have all seen, has changed her life. And it has changed a lot of people's lives that had aspirations to be astronauts in the NASA space program. So if you have an opportunity to check out Woman in Motion, it is streaming right now on Apple TV Plus. Now, this one is especially for my boy, Brandon, because Brandon has been like, I need to talk about SpongeBob. And I've been promising to talk about SpongeBob for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I never did get to it. But SpongeBob SquarePants, he's hilarious. True story. I never really paid attention to SpongeBob when it was a TV series, but now they have a movie that's going to drop. And right now on Nickelodeon, they have a TV series called Nickelodeon's Kamp Koral, SpongeBob Under Years. Now, what it does is it shows SpongeBob and the rest of the gang going through these shenanigans of being at this camp and all the things that they have to do to earn a badge. Now, there was one episode that I saw where he couldn't catch a jellyfish on his own to earn a badge. So his friends hatched a plan and a scheme to help him to pretend to be a jellyfish so that he could earn a badge. And so all of the themes of these episodes deal around subjects that you would deal with at camp, like Tag Your It and badges and things of that sort. It was a lot of fun. It was a throwback to the TV series. Anybody that loved SpongeBob, the TV series, or loved any of these SpongeBob movies, you're going to love SpongeBob Kamp Koral, which is streaming on Nickelodeon. You're going to love it, love it, love it. Now, last week, I was at the Golden Globes. I said that as I was going off the air, and I was in the press room where I got to interview two people. I only got to interview two people because there were 136 people in that virtual press room. So I only literally got to talk to two people. And those two people were Gillian Anderson for her role as Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in The Crown, and Anya Taylor-Joy for her award-winning role in Queen's Gambit. So here's a quick little minute clip of the questions that I asked them and their answers.
But the dish that we see her cooking them in the series is actually comprised of leftovers. So, that's quite extraordinary that she's, serving family leftovers to her male cabinet ministers in her apartment above number 10. I enjoyed that one.
I would enjoy that too. That's hilarious. I'm excited for you. It's a beautiful thing. Congratulations. I am coming to you from the chess capital of the world, St. Louis, Missouri. And I wanted to know what was the most What was the most surprising thing you discovered learning how to play chess?
How much fun it is to punctuate a feeling by moving a piece. It's really fun. Thomas Brodie Sangster and I did that with each other a lot. We played very sassy chess. And I didn't realize I needed sassy chess in my life, but I do.
Okay. And
I loved that so much. Sorry, I didn't cut off that end part there, but I love that she called Sass Chessy. And yes, my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri, really is the chess capital of the world. FYI, but not really. So there's that. I also wanted to say that I asked Jillian what was the most surprising thing she learned about Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, and that's why she gave me that answer. All right. So next up is the Curvy Classic. Y'all know I love a good throwback. And last week at the Golden Globes, Jodie Foster won an award for her role in a film called The Mauritanian. I've reviewed that here on the show. She was fantabulous. But 30 years ago, she won an Academy Award for her role as Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs. This film is still the only horror movie to win an Academy Award in the so there's three films that in the history of the Academy Awards, and there's three films in all of the history of the Academy Awards that won all 5 of the major awards of the night: Best Picture, Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Actor, and Actress. There's only 2 other films that accomplished that. It Happened One Night in 1934 and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975. 3 other facts that I thought were really interesting is that throughout the film, Anthony Hopkins rarely blinks as Hannibal Lecter. And he says that it was deliberate. It was a deliberate decision, and it was inspired by crocodiles and tarantulas during his preparation for the role. He actually told Barbara Walters in a 2001 interview that stillness has an economy and it has a power about it. Okay, Anthony Hopkins, I'm gonna let you go with that. I also want to let you know that he was not the first person that was in the running for that role. Sean Connery was offered the role, turned it down because he found the script to be a little distasteful. And had Anthony Hopkins turned down the role, John Lithgow would have won the role. But years later, John Lithgow went on to play Trinity, the serial killer, in the 4th season of Dexter, one of my favorite series that was on a little while ago. And the runtime of that movie is 2 hours and 18 minutes. But in his performance of Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins is literally only on screen for 16 minutes, which is a testament to how magnetic and memorable he was in that role. If you are not familiar with Anthony Hopkins, you still have time. There is a film that I will be reviewing here next week called The Father, which stars him and Olivia Colman, who also has won multiple awards as the Queen in The Crown. All right, so that kind of does it for this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I know it was fast and furious, but I did get that Kamp Koral in there for you, Brandon. I said I would do it. I said I would talk about Raya, and I got it in there. So I just wanted to give you a shout out and let you know I did it. Yay! So next week, you guys, hold up, wait a minute. We're not done yet. I have Genius Aretha star Cynthia Erivo will be with us next week to talk about all kinds of things. I can't wait for that. And I'm going to, in a few weeks, I will have a review of a documentary about Tina Turner, simply entitled Tina for right now. I'm not sure if they're going to rename the doc or not by the time it comes out at the end of the month, but it's from filmmakers Dan Lindsay and TJ Martin. And I saw it, and it's a spectacular work of art. I'm also going to review The Courier with Benedict Cumberbatch and Night of the Kings. Rachel Brosnahan is also in The Courier. So if this is your first time joining me for The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know that you were here. Click that bell for notifications. If you are on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, because again, you never know who you might see. I love y'all. Be safe. Wash your hands. Keep that 6 feet social distancing going. And, I'll see you back here, 5:00 p.m. The Critics' Choice is not airing in LA in real time like I thought it was. It's going to come on in a couple of hours. So I will come back next week and do a recap of the winners from that. Until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease. And I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.